going through the process of what I'd been through to, just even trying to start something myself, I was just so inspired by it all that I was like, absolutely my path is to own my own business. So irrespective of whether this works out or not, I was going to resign. And so I think I just thought to myself, if that's the inevitable of what's going to happen, then this is the time now to do it.
Hello and welcome to Truth on a Pedestal, a podcast solely dedicated to talking about how businesses are started and how brands are built. I'm Justine Malone, founder and creative director here at MaloneCo Studio and your host for Truth on a Pedestal. I've invited a very special guest onto the podcast today. This particular guest, I actually started working with about 2.5 years ago, and we helped launch their first website. In doing this, I was able to learn a lot about the behind the scenes of the brand, the founder, where she came from, and her vision for the future. So I'm very pleased to welcome Leah from Portier onto the podcast. Hello.
Hello. Thank you for having me. It's my first podcast today, so I'm super excited.
I think that's like the 4th or 5th podcast cherry we popped.
Yeah.
We should call ourselves like Truth on a Pedestal podcast. Popper, yeah, or something. Anyway, the reason I have invited Leah onto the show is, again, we've worked with her from the beginning, so I've seen the behind the scenes like many brands, but Leah's story is going to inspire those people who want to start a business that they are passionate about, that has room for scale and growth. Leah's come from a different background than what she is now, and your story even inspires me to start a brand. I'm constantly I really need to do this product thing. So yes, thank you so much. We're going to take it back to sort of just before you started Portier. Yeah. So tell me where you were. I guess it's when your first son was born, or like where you were in business. Yeah, because I know that you came from corporate. So take me to corporate, like where your background was and what you actually did.
I had worked in corporate for almost 18 years.
18?
With the one business. I started there when I'd done my university degree over in America and lived in Boulder, Colorado for 5 years. And then when I moved back to Australia, I started working at Hayes in recruitment. And I'd started there with no experience, and over the years had worked my way up, and 18 years later, there I was there in a regional director's position, managing a few different arms of their business. But I'd been there for 18 years, and it was an amazing journey, and I learned so much from working there. And then obviously throughout my time, I got married and then went on maternity leave with my first son, Xander.
Yeah, that's a huge role, like big Truth on a Pedestal. That's a big paycheck as well. Like job security, a lot of trust from those directors and CEOs. Yeah, good paycheck. You would have been really comfortable. Leaving that alone is like a big step.
It was. It was a very big step.
Wow. So you had your first son, and
timing was everything, to be completely honest with you, because obviously I'm somebody that does take risks, but they're calculated risks.
Yeah.
And so it was only when I went on maternity leave for the first time I had realised that I just wanted to do something for myself. I wanted to have my own business. At the time, I actually didn't know what that was going to be.
Yeah.
I just knew that I wanted to have my own business, and I was going to make that happen, and that was the perfect time to at least start working on it, because I had the space, the brain space, first of all, because I wasn't working this crazy corporate job. Yes, I was looking after a newborn, but the timing was just perfect. It so happened that 2 weeks after having Xander, we went into lockdown with COVID. So I then spent quite a lot of time at home
because
looking after him.
When you have brand new babies, you're kind of you're busy because you're out and about, but you were
enjoying your maternity leave and getting out and, I don't know, maybe having brunch with your girlfriends.
Yeah, but you're like, no, just a lot of baby sleep time and no outings.
Exactly. So at about 4 months after having him, I just started, to get a little bit itchy in terms of, what am I going to do? Where am I going? And it was just a perfect time, as I said, to just start exploring things. And obviously going through that motherhood journey of having a baby and using so many different products in the market, that was kind of my light bulb moment, to be honest with you. I had tried a lot of baby carriers, and I could see, the state of play of which brands were in the market at the moment, which ones were doing well and for what reasons, and which ones weren't necessarily doing well for whatever reason. And I did identify a gap.
Yeah. So you did your research.
Yeah, it wasn't necessarily intentional, if I'm honest with you. Like even then, when I had purchased a baby carrier, it was purely with the intention of, I had a 4-month-old and I was, looking after him. But I went through 3 or 4 baby carriers.
Because you're just like,
this one's not working. Yeah. This one's so hard to put on. This one, I feel like I'm wearing a straitjacket.
Yeah.
And so it was just going through that process. And I just had this moment and I went, hang on a second, there is a gap in the market here. And I'm just going to see what happens. I actually had zero expectation. At the time, I actually went into it thinking, Leah, why don't you just learn how to develop a product overseas? Go and start the sampling process, find some suppliers, find your manufacturer, fabrics, all that sort of stuff. And if it doesn't work out, don't worry about it. You've lost nothing.
You entertained yourself through COVID.
Exactly. I honestly, and you've got nothing. I just had nothing to lose at the time, And I'll say it again, timing was really everything. So that's what I did. And
How did you even go about that? What was your first step?
It was hard. I mean, just literally research on the internet, and I found my first objective was to have it made in Australia. I really was very passionate about that from the beginning.
Yeah.
But after 6 months of trying to get that sorted, I met with so many different manufacturers in predominantly Melbourne, but spoke to a few in other states. And they said, look, Leah, we've got the machinery. Because I had a patent. I got a patent maker in Australia to make the patent for me.
Great.
And then I took that patent with my tech pack to the suppliers, to the manufacturers in Melbourne. And they said, Leah, I've got the machinery to make this product for you. But I don't know, if we make the first sample and it's not really often it's not the product you launch with is your first sample.
Yeah.
So they were like, if you get past your first sample and we need to make modifications, they were saying, I'm not an expert in manufacturing baby carriers. So I can't help you. I can't advise you on, we need to use this foam, or we need to use this buckle, or we need to do that. So just think about that. And I thought to myself, do you know what? Quality is of the utmost.
So you're carrying a baby.
Yeah.
There's no
so I
there.
just didn't really want to compromise on that. Yeah. And so for me, that's when I kind of made the decision, okay, you're trying to push something here that I think is probably not really realistic.
Yeah.
And I had to just make that sacrifice and was like, I will focus on other things like really high quality fabrications and ensuring that the fabric, the manufacturer that I work with is got unbelievable workmanship and can deliver on all of those other things. And so then I started looking overseas, and I explored, Vietnam, I explored India, explored China, and for me, China made the most sense.
Yeah.
And so then I process of elimination, threw everything at that.
Yeah.
And just through research, I probably found about 10 or 15 fabric manufacturers over there, got different fabric samples, understood their process.
How did you find the communication working with them?
Challenging, but still it was okay. It was definitely doable. But at times there can be miscommunication, which then results in other things. And when you go back, it really is just a miscommunication that's occurred. But that's okay. Just went through that process of elimination with fabric suppliers and then also with the baby carrier manufacturer. So I think at the start, I started with maybe 5 or 6 manufacturers.
Oh, so you sampled
and I got it sampled. Yeah. And then just through going through that process, I was like, okay, I can see this isn't going to work. They're not really, at the level that I'm looking for in terms of quality, workmanship, communication, infrastructure within their business, all those things that you're assessing when you're going to engage a supplier.
Yeah.
And so we just went through that process of elimination, and I got down to 2, and then we were at final sampling, and then I just sort of said, I'm going to go with these guys.
Yeah. What was the reason for choosing them?
all of those things that I've sort of listed, just I was able to, I felt, easily communicate with them, although there were still challenges, but it was a little bit easier. And I could see that they had a lot of expertise in making these products, and just I guess that expertise piece was the biggest thing for me. And then assessing the workmanship of what they'd made for Portier, and was that to the standard that I wanted to deliver to my customer? And it was. And so that was the decision that I made to go with them. And it's been great. They've developed as a manufacturer
And
through
you're
me
still
working with them.
Yeah.
So
how many samples did you end up getting?
Oh God, I couldn't tell you. I honestly.
How many samples in your garage? Just
Lots, probably
sat
2
there?
boxes worth.
Oh my gosh.
Which is obviously not it's a pretty expensive exercise going through that process.
It is. Sometimes very expensive.
But that's where we're at. And so we ended up launching a lot later than what I'd initially anticipated. I knew the process was going to be at least 1 to 2 years, just from other people that I know in business that work in, I guess,
product development.
Product development. They're like, 1, give yourself 2 just to be, conservative. But prior to launching, COVID went pretty rampant in China, and all of my product got stuck in Shanghai. And it was stuck there for almost 3 months.
I remember that. Actually, I remember that on launch, you're just like, don't have the
we were probably
product
talking
yet,
about,
and I need that you were.
So in between, to get back to your question, I actually went back to Hayes because I had finished my maternity leave with Xander, and we were nowhere near finishing. So I actually went back to Hayes and worked with them for a year.
And was that your intention to go back?
Well, I would have loved it for us to be able to get
evolve.
things rolling and not be in a position to have to go back, but the timing wasn't right. And so I went back to Hayes and went on, then it stayed there for about a year, went on maternity leave with Maxim. And it was funny. I said to my husband, I was like, you watch what's going to happen, because obviously throughout that second time, all this stuff was happening in China. My stuff got stuck. I was like, by the time it gets here, I'm going to have this baby, and it's going to be a bit nuts. This is crazy.
It's going to launch a brand and launch a baby.
But I had no, we'd been waiting so long for this to happen that I just was like, you got to roll with it and we'll work it out. And nothing's perfect. You've just got to do it. So I did. And that's what happened. So I was in, at St. Vincent's Private in Melbourne, and I was probably on email to you, and I was on email to, my marketing agency and all sorts, and had a newborn. And
it was all literally the same week.
So he was born on the 21st of June. We launched on the 28th of June.
I remember, because I think I received an email from you, and I was like, have you
had the baby?
Don't want to pressure you. I'm happy to wait.
It was nuts. So a week, literally 7 days after I had Maxim, we launched.
So in the beginning, that in itself, it's crazy. It's so easy to have that as a block of, you know what, I'm just going to put it on pause, whatever, I've still got my job. You worked through that. That was a risk, and you're like, well, no, I've come this far.
Absolutely.
What's the launch?
So at that stage, I was still obviously on maternity leave, but we'd launched this business. And my objective then was, we've got to get this brand to a position that, in 8 months' time or 12 months' time, when I'm potentially ready to return, that I'm not going to. And that was my first objective. I was like, I've got to get this humming to a point where I feel comfortable that I can leave my corporate job in a senior role and feel comfortable that we're onto something that's gonna work, and that's what I did.
So was it because was there a part of you that wanted to change your life?
I mean, I just felt like, I mean, I'm a very hard worker, and I give everything to everything that I do, and I just felt to myself, you work too hard to be working for somebody else. So make this be for you and for your family, and you reap the rewards of everything that you put into it. Because at times I felt in corporate that wasn't necessarily reciprocated.
Yeah.
So that was my intention, and that's where I went. So we launched it, and 8 months later I was in a position. We actually had planned a trip to go to Europe with the kids, and I have a very good relationship with Hayes and my directors that worked there, and so I was due to go back to Hayes after
the trip.
I got back from Europe, and I was like, no, I've got to do the right thing. I know I'm not going back here. So I told them before we left, and I said, look, I don't want you to make plans for me to return, and then it's not going to happen. So before they sort of started doing that, I said to them, I've made the decision that I'm not returning.
That's a big decision. Like even though
they
you
didn't know
knew
that I had Portier.
Well, no, not many.
So they were a little bit gobsmacked.
They're like, what? What's this random job?
And then like a lot of people, to be really honest, when I told them that I had started a baby carrier business, they were like, what?
But you do corporate stuff.
But
Why
just even
it's
like in itself is not a common thing.
No.
Start a fashion brand, possibly.
Fine. Start a new brand.
Start a baby carrier business.
Yeah.
People like, what?
You know what? I remember standing in Baby Buntings with my firstborn, staring at all the baby carriers, and I was like, I don't know which one to choose because they're all so ugly.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to wear something nice.
Yeah.
And then by the time I met you, I think I'd had my second, and I was like, damn it, I missed the boat.
Yeah.
I've gone through all these years with this ugly black baby carrier, and so it's definitely there was full gap in the market there. But that's a huge decision even in yourself, to knowing that you weren't ever going to go back to corporate, but actually saying it out loud and saying I'm not coming back, because that's you turn the page and that's like, all right, we're in this now.
I think for me, the defining moment, I asked myself the question, Leah, hypothetically, if let's say Portier wasn't doing well, would you have resigned anyway? And the answer to that question was yes.
Well, So did you find that with having 2 kids and then still working corporate?
Just going through the process of what I'd been through to, just even trying to start something myself, I was just so inspired by it all that I was like, absolutely my path is to own my own business. So irrespective of whether this works out or not, I was going to resign. And so I think I just thought to myself, if that's the inevitable of what's going to happen, then this is the time now to do it.
Great.
And that's sort of how it all transpired.
So when you first started thinking about Portier, did you at any point come up with a brand strategy? Thinking about the bigger vision, not just, I'm going to start a baby carrier. Like, what was the big vision behind starting?
Look, I always knew, I guess, the aesthetic of the brand and the ethos of the brand. That was in my head. I didn't necessarily sit down with somebody and formally work out what my strategy was going to be.
Okay.
I knew in my mind, and it was very clear. And to be honest, it hasn't really deviated too much from that, from when we launched to now 2.5 years later.
Yeah. Well, that means that you had something core there.
Yeah.
You've been on the same path.
Correct. So I had a strategy in my mind of the brand and what I wanted it to represent and what it was going to look like.
Yeah.
And the values of that brand. I think the most important thing for me was being able to communicate that effectively to my audience.
Yeah.
Because I knew in my head what I wanted.
Yeah.
But it was now, okay, well, how am I going to say that? How am I going to convey this message? And so what was really important for me was working with copywriter. And working with a copywriter and going through that process of, uncovering the brand and, how do you want it? How do you want to talk to your customers? What's your tone of voice?
Yeah. The power of copy, people really underestimate it. And I know we have ChatGPT, but it is not the same.
No, it's not the same. Don't get me wrong. I use ChatGPT for a lot of things.
But to get your brand's copy, I feel like it needs a person, then fine, use it to roll it out. But there's something, because I know who did your copy, and that copy led the way for your photography style, for your website style, for your user.
It
the
really
words
talked,
she used.
Correct. It just talked to the brand and it talked to our customer. And it allowed for that consistency and making sure that our tone of voice was strong and in the market was positioned where I wanted it to be sitting. And so I thought that was a really important part of our process. And so we did that. And then obviously, we've worked with branding agencies to come up with our logo mark and, fonts and, colours and all that sort of stuff. But to be honest, at the beginning, it wasn't something I wanted to invest in massively. So
you started clean and
it was very minimal. It was very minimal. And that's my style anyway.
You had an aesthetic that you knew was either right or wrong. And I always say, like, if starting simple and clean is always easy, and then you can layer on.
You can layer it, and that's exactly what we did.
So when you started with the baby carriers, did you have anything else in mind for the brand, for the bigger picture?
Well, that probably talks to my strategy a little bit. Like, I always knew that we could continue to just make baby carriers, but I think from a strategy to increase the lifespan of our customer, because once you buy a baby carrier,
you're done.
I mean, you might buy two if you really love it and you want it in a different colour, and you might buy it for a gift, but it's not like being a real loyalist of a fashion brand, I love Camilla and Marc. I shop Camilla and Marc all the time, and I've shopped them for 10 years. So the lifespan of that customer is so much longer, whereas for us, I knew that there was going to be a limitation in the market of once, you do a lot to acquire your customer. And so if I've acquired this customer and I'm only maximising the opportunity to purchase a baby carrier, then that's
all of that effort, and you're like,
it's a bit
oh
of
my
a
gosh,
waste,
and the amount of money you spent to acquire them in the marketing.
Correct. So in my head, I always knew that the only way we were going to be able to really maximise the opportunity was to diversify our product offering. So I knew that I wanted to do that from the beginning, and it was going to start probably with the most, not simplest, nothing's really simple, but after developing a baby carrier, a bag maybe wasn't as difficult. So we then started with, a couple of baby bags. We did the On The Go, which is, it's part of our DNA now, the On The Go bag. Everyone loves it. And then we launched a tote bag. And then, just getting feedback from our customers. Do you have a pocket? Can we put a pocket? Then we launched the pouch that slides onto the carrier. But I always knew the objective was, Leah, you need to just diversify your products. So I knew I wanted to go into clothing and apparel at some stage. I didn't have 100% clarity on what all of those items would be. Some of them have evolved organically just through talking to our customer and understanding their needs. And then other things have been part of, I've known that we want to eventually do that, but, one step at a time.
And you've said something so valuable there, is listening to your customers. So a lot of people, when starting the brand, they think I need to launch all of the things at once. But I always say, like, launch something really small, especially if you're a brand new brand and you're figuring out your market, because the feedback you get from your clients is going to help you launch your second product successfully, your third product successfully, rather than guessing or seeing another brand and going, well, they've got it, so if I do it, it's going to be the same. It's like, but their market, even though it looks like it's the same market, is not the same market.
No.
So you mentioned apparel. So I know that was like on your cards, because you mentioned apparel to me 2.5 years ago. You were like, one day I'll do apparel. This podcast would have launched after your apparel drop, so we can confidently talk about it now. I'm so excited for your apparel range, and I'm probably also going to have FOMO, because it's probably also not going to be like
the beauty of it, to be honest with you, and the whole ethos behind it is that it's going to see you through to, pregnancy and beyond. I wear
not 9 years beyond. Great.
No,
your style is beautiful.
It's not maternity wear.
It's just
they are just very beautifully curated pieces that I know are suitable for pregnant women, and it's going to take them through their journey. And to be honest, a lot of people talk about or feel like it's going to be really challenging to dress when I'm pregnant.
I didn't wear maternity clothes.
I actually found the hardest part of dressing was postpartum. Because in my mind, I thought, that's fine, I'm going to have the baby. I knew I wasn't going to go back to where I was, but I thought, it's okay, I'll be fine. I hadn't considered how hard it was going to be for dressing postpartum. And so this collection that we've put together is, it's just very thoughtful in that it's going to take you from pregnancy through to, I mean, I've got a 2.5-year-old. I wear pieces in the collection. I wore the dress to a wedding that I had. So it's suitable all the way through, and that was the intention behind it, was there to be, you know, some longevity with it and versatility. And
there's definitely a gap there as well. I know that after my first, I bought into all of the maternity things and all the breastfeeding things, and they're so ugly and weird, and you can't wear them afterwards. And they had bigger bulges full of stomach, even though you're breastfeeding, and so the stomach's down. Didn't understand it. But for my second, I ended up not buying any maternity wear except for like the stretchy pants by the end of it, and I just wore normal clothes and got to find my own style. A lot of shirts, a lot of button-up shirts with breastfeeding, but you kind of go, I actually don't need to have things that I can't continue to wear. So definitely another gap in the market.
Well, that's sort of what we've gone with, you know, and again, that was sort of born from personal experience of going through that journey of having 2 kids and but just not feeling good in that time specifically, and really struggling to find clothes that were just what I was wearing
previously.
And so I just it was just something that I've thought a lot about, and I feel like we have a really you know, loyal and you know, engaged customers at the moment, and I just really wanted to try and maximize that and offer some products still very much in line with our brand.
It's very it's like just this nice, easy, elevated look. Like I wish that your brand was around when I was a new mama. I did not look elevated at all. All right, so I'm going to dive deep a little bit into, this was life-changing. So as in starting a business, it changes your life. Not just the fact that you're not in corporate and having a 9 to 5 and answering to a boss. It changes your life at home, your family dynamic, financial stresses. And people think, oh, I've got this brand, cool, I'm going to ship in some products from China, put on a website and ship it out. Like that's like 10% of
Not
it.
even.
There's so much behind the scenes that mentally founders go through. But so take me behind the scenes in your home. How this...
Well, it's a little crazy.
How changed even your marriage? Because your marriage would have been like, you go to work, I go to work. And how did this all change?
Well, my husband has his own business as well, which is very successful. So I think, you know, previously in corporate, although it was, you know, I know everyone refers to corporate as 9 to 5. I can tell you I never did 9 to 5.
So not.
But I could just kind of leave a lot of the stresses behind because ultimately it wasn't my business.
You're like, I don't have to reconcile Xero and accounting or do the marketing.
Whereas now you're doing everything. I mean, obviously I've learned, I'm in a position now where I can delegate and you know, bring people on, and my team's growing, and you know, it obviously helps. But all that happens in that stage is that you've hired somebody now to look after this function, but your focus now just shifts to somewhere else. So it's not like the load really gets any easier, if I'm honest. So, I mean, look, I think, it's definitely been challenging. There's no two ways about that. But my husband and I, we've been together for coming up almost 20 years. We've been married for 11 years. And key to that is just good communication. And I think we're both just really honest with each other. And so I say to him, I am under the pump for the next week and a half, 2 weeks. I need you to back me. Like, I can't do this and I can't do pickup and I can't do that.
Can't cook dinner for the next week.
And he'll do the same. He's like, Leah, we've got a massive job starting in 3 weeks. You're going to have to pull back a little bit. And so you can't go hell for leather at the same time.
No, you have to.
It is actually impossible.
Well, it puts stress on the kids as well.
Yeah, and it's just not fun.
No.
Because you're both, just really trying to push hard to make things happen within your businesses, and it's actually just really unrealistic and it's not sustainable. And so there's just times where you just push and pull, and that's how it works.
Go, we're both heading into a really big week. All right, what systems do we need to put in place? So the husband and I are just about to head into like a stupid 2 weeks. And I was like, that's okay.
Yeah.
Just, we know that we're heading into it.
Exactly.
So like, be prepared for it.
Exactly. And I think just giving him the heads up with that.
Yeah.
Like it's always crazy busy, but there's times where, I need to step away because I've got things. My kids will always supersede everything.
Your value.
And so if I need to do that, no matter how busy I am, if I got to go, I've got to go. Yeah. And that's a promise that I made to myself when I started the business. Yeah. I mean, when I left recruitment, it was to try and get more flexibility, which I thought was going to happen, but I've never worked so hard in my life, to be honest with you. But
it's different.
It's different. It's very different. But at the end of the day, I'm the boss at the end of the day. So if I need to work or leave, I definitely don't need to check with anybody. Yeah.
So that's the good. Yeah, well, I also like to highlight the good. So what good has come in your family and home life from you?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously the business is it's going really well, and we're just in a position to
ebb and flow.
Just ebb and flow, and it's going really well. It's going well for me. It's also going well for James and for his business, and we're just in a really good position at the moment.
And how in the beginning? So you launched. So I'm gonna just sidestep now. Yeah. It's what I do. In the beginning, when you first launched, it was just you. Mm-hmm. Take me through the first 6 months in regards to onboarding people, the growth, who you reached out to, who you used for marketing, your photographers, and when you knew the right time. Like you're in recruitment, so I'm sure you would have employed perfect people. Yeah, you knew the process.
Look, I think my objective to start with was to just try and stay as lean as I could for as long as I could.
Yeah. With a newborn baby. Just need to remind.
Just because, I didn't want to overcommit. Like I said, I take risks, but they're very calculated risks. And so I just, I really tried to stay for as lean as I could for as long as I could. And that meant I did everything. Mm-hmm. I've never been somebody that sleeps a lot. I just, after I'd put the kids to bed, I'd jump back on the computer. Sometimes I'd be on the computer till 1 a.m.
Oh, wow.
Go to bed, wake up at 6, do it all again. Yeah. I don't also watch a lot of TV. I don't really love TV, to be honest with you. So
there's so many more things to do.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, when I've done everything that I need to do at home, the kids are in bed, James will sit on the couch and watch the soccer or whatever. I've just never been a big TV watcher. So I jump on the computer and that's just do some work or,
I feel like I'm talking, I'm basically same.
Yeah. But a lot of factors are, to be honest with you.
I'm like, I'm here with you watching what you're watching, but I've just got to my laptop and the comments are like, I've just got to do this one thing. Yeah. It's like the joke on my house. You just got to do this one thing. This one thing again.
Yeah, but a lot of female founders that I talk to that are mothers, I do that as well. And I think they do that so that they can leave work, pick their kids up from school.
They do
what they need to do.
6-hour day.
Yeah, come
and they
back.
Catch up.
Dude, James is amazing. He cooks dinner, he loves cooking. So that's one thing I definitely don't have to worry too much about. But just getting the kids ready, bath, bed, sleep. And then I'll jump back on. So I my day is it is in 3 parts, but it goes work, kids, work.
Yeah. And it's good to hear that because I do that and I sometimes feel like, what is wrong? Like, why am I working so much? Like, I shouldn't be working at night. But the more people that I hear that are like, well, I only work my 6 hours school time. Yeah. But then you have this huge break, go to footy training, I do all the things. And then it's just I always say this, that last hour and a half or 2 hours that you just didn't get between 3:30 and 5:30.
Correct.
You got to catch up.
Correct.
So it's good to be honest with running a business isn't 9 till 5.
No.
Clean. Like, I'm sure there are business owners that do it. I'm like absolutely sure with
there
good
are.
boundaries.
That's it's just what works
in the
for
beginning.
Me.
Yeah,
that's what works for me. It's definitely not sustainable.
No, but it's like honest of what it could look like.
Yeah, it's certainly not sustainable. Like although I've been doing it for a while, I am exhausted. So it's not sustainable, and I think it's important. Sleep is super important.
So important.
So, my next objective is to sleep more.
Yes.
And not work so late at night.
Yeah.
But that is really what I had to do at the start, and I'm still doing now. It kind of goes up and down, but and then I was in a position where, so at the start I was managing the socials, but the agency that I was engaging with at the time, if there was something that was a little bit more creative that was outside of my capability with socials, they used to put the creative together for me, and then I would just post it. So I just used to think of ways that I could, keep the cost down, and what am I capable of doing, and what do I need to outsource?
Yeah.
And so when it came to, socials obviously is really important when you're trying to get your brand off the ground and get that exposure.
Yeah. Like you did your own idea behind strategy, or was it the marketing agency?
I knew, I kind of had a pretty good indication of what my pillars needed to be within social media. The education piece, particularly with my product, is super important. How I want to talk to it on socials, what's our aesthetic of the brand. And we have always leaned more into trying to stick to that fashion sort of element.
Yeah, it pulls you in, I think.
As opposed to baby.
It's a real Pinterest pusher as well with the content that you create.
We do a lot on Pinterest.
Yeah, you could even admire it even if you don't have a baby with the carrier.
It's funny, so many customers or people that I speak to are like, I know your brand, but I'm not pregnant.
I'm not
having a baby.
Well, every time I see somebody wearing it, I'm always like, Portier. It's a woman walk on the beach, and there it is. So with the hiring, you with social media, you've reached out to them to help you with more like the creative designs that you implement, and that's a really great way to cut costs as well. What was your next phase after that?
Look, I always had, from the beginning, I always had an agency that I'd engage. That was the first thing that I sort of went, I am going to go hell for leather and make sure that I invest a lot, was in paid ad strategy.
Okay.
So I started, when we launched, we had an agency that we worked with that ran all of our Meta ads, Google ads. Later we ended up moving into Pinterest. But
did they do your EDMs and
they did our EDMs as well.
And what other marketing did they do?
That was it.
Okay.
Yeah, so they add digital marketing. They pretty much, so they helped me with the EDMs. They did all of our EDMs, obviously in collaboration with myself. So I would brief it in, what was the messaging, what was the objective, what are we doing, and then they would put it together. And send it out as well.
Yeah.
So that was really important, and I think it is important. It's not necessarily for every brand though, because you need to work out whether or not the paid ad strategy is going to work for you. Yeah. Have you got enough margin in your product to be able to wear your cost per acquisition when you're launching and going through that process of assessing your costs?
Is your product does it have enough of a niche to be able to break through it? Because if you've got a product that there's millions out there, you have got to throw so much money into those ads to be heard. But you had a bit of a niche, there.
Yeah. So that was always part of our strategy, and we've done that from the beginning, and it's worked really well for us. So in terms of internal hires, I had someone that was sort of freelancing with me to help me out with socials.
Yeah.
She was happened to be on maternity leave at the time.
Yeah.
But then I quickly, sort of her working with me for 3 to 4 months, I realised that I needed to get somebody full time.
Yeah.
So social media was my first hire internally within my business.
And what did they do? What was it?
So they were responsible for our social media strategy. And she also used to shoot and edit all of our content for social. So not necessarily our campaigns. She didn't sort of photograph that, but she would look at it and go, okay, Leah, this is the content we need.
Let's go shoot it.
Content is king in any business.
Yeah.
We
definitely
shoot all the time. Whether it's our campaign photography, which obviously supports generally a product launch. But we do that probably once every 2 to 3 months. But in between that, we are shooting with whether it's UGC, we're always shooting content, and I think that it's really important to make sure that you have a lot of content, because if you don't, you can't feed the beast of. I said that to somebody the other day, and they were like, I really like that analogy, because it is a beast. But you have to feed it, and if you don't feed it, you won't. It won't be successful with it.
So you post every day?
Yeah, but
I
the
should know
content,
this. I should have researched
we do.
the amount of time.
No, we do. But that, when I'm talking about feeding the beast, it's not necessarily just on organic socials. So that feeding the beast, yes, it will be posted on our socials organically, but I've got an agency that's asking me for content all the time that we're using for paid ads.
Yeah.
So if I don't give
that
them,
needs to change. Like, people can't see the same ad all the time.
You get ad fatigue, every 6, probably less now, but every 4 to 6 weeks. So if you're not constantly, updating your content and feeding the beast of that paid media strategy, then it will fatigue and you're not going to get the results that you're looking for. So content is king, and we spend a lot of time on that.
Yeah.
And my social media manager was or is involved in organising that and assessing what do we need.
So she's full time, the strategy, the shooting,
She does all of our lo-fi shooting. So everything that's shot on an iPhone.
Yeah.
She will shoot that and then edit it. So she'll make our reels for social media. And then we'll look at she does all of our influencer sort of seeding, as well as any business paid partnerships that we do, anything that's driving our socials organically.
So the reels when they're like, she asks you, I think I saw one the other day, it's like, Leah, what are you wearing? And then you talk, that was her?
That was
okay.
So that's an example.
But that is like, that, and even people think, oh, how long does that take? Like, that probably took you guys like longer than you wanted.
No,
maybe.
That one didn't necessarily. But they are consuming. And what a lot of people don't probably factor in is we have to photograph with babies.
Yeah.
And that is really challenging.
Nap time, how the mum's feeling.
I mean, fortunately, we have a product that babies can sleep in.
Yes.
So we've had a few TikToks actually go viral where we've been in the middle of a campaign shoot and our talent's fallen asleep and we've managed to capture it.
Wake up then.
Yeah. But so we have to factor that in, and it takes a lot longer than normal. Where a normal brand a fashion brand might shoot, I don't even know, 40, 50 looks, whatever it is.
On a timesheet, on a
for
schedule.
us, it's like probably 10. Out of a day of a campaign shoot. So it just takes a little bit longer. And then obviously sourcing that talent is hard as well.
Yeah.
We've got a beautiful community, obviously, of mums.
Oh, they're probably putting their hand up.
Yeah, we have people message us all the time that are like, I love your brand. I'm based in Melbourne. And so but
it's still the coordination of them. And do you make sure that the baby and the mum are like, it's the same baby
that is
and
the first objective always. So one of the models who has been in a lot of our campaigns, Claire, beautiful. She, I used her and her baby.
Yeah.
So we worked with her and her baby for as long as we could, really.
Yeah.
And then where we can, we will always, our first objective is to try to get them together.
Yeah.
But
you just get such an authentic look, though.
It's hard to find a model that's pregnant. That's the reality of it. And regardless of whether they're aesthetics is not necessarily always.
You don't know if they're confident in posing or if they're comfortable in front of the camera.
Like we've tried to use real mums, but the minute I put them behind the camera, they like, freak out. They're like, oh my God, I'm not good at that. I don't want to do this. As much as we've tried to make them feel as comfortable as possible, they're not a model at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's trying to take someone out of their comfort zone and get them to do something that they're not used to doing. They don't know how to move.
It's not even like you put a person in a pose. It's the facials.
It's everything
that you have to catch. And I think model can nail that.
The movement is the most important.
The movement
how a model moves.
But even the look, like the model, if they're not a model, their facials look put on.
Yes.
And then if
they're trying too hard.
They're trying too hard, but a model, I have no idea how they get their facials the way they do. But
so where we can, we'll always try to source, mum and model.
Okay.
But where we can't, we just use a model that we know is at least a mum.
Yes.
That really helps.
Yeah, that has that vibe.
And then if we can't, one of the models that we've used, Samika, has shot for us a couple of times. She's just absolutely gorgeous, and babies love working with her, but she's not a mum.
Oh,
But
she's like, I want to be a
they
mum.
love her. They love her, and yeah. So we've managed to be able to book her a couple of times because it just comes very naturally
works.
for her.
Yeah. Well, they all look like mums. Like,
Yeah.
They just look like super gorgeous, stylish mums to me.
80% of them are. So
Yeah.
it's important, but it can be challenging.
So in this whole journey of 2.5 years of amazingness, has there been any moments where you've just gone, oh my God, I don't want to do this anymore, or you've regretted it, or one of those moments?
Yeah. Look, I haven't regretted my decision at all at any stage.
Well, that's a horrible question to ask. I can't believe I said regretted.
No, I know exactly. I know what you mean.
So like, is this too hard?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a very brief, fleeting moment where I've gone, this is really challenging. Like, is it all worth it? And like I said, it was very brief. I've never really looked back and gone, I should never have left corporate to do this. I should never have started my own business. It was the best decision I've ever made, and I still feel that way, and I love it. It's been amazing, but there's definitely been moments where I've like,
God, this is
hard. It is.
What pushes it? What is?
Yeah.
Is it just when there's just too many things going on, too many balls in the air?
I read this quote. I read an article once from Anna Lay, who's the owner of Vitaglow, and she was like, you'll look back, it's one of the hardest things you'll ever love. And that's honestly how I just love it. I love it, and that's probably what keeps me going, but it is the hardest thing I've ever done.
Next to parenting, or harder than parenting?
No, that's hard. That's definitely hard, but then hard in different ways. They're hard in different ways. But to be honest with you, there's skills that I've learned from being a parent that I've been able to implement in my business, and probably skills that I've learned in my business that, can go back and forth. But no, they're both pretty hard.
Yeah. I wonder if parents, because I started my business and then straight away got pregnant, but and you were the same. I wonder if you have more patience as a business owner, or I don't know.
Patience
more
was the one thing
organization,
that I just thought
you're
of when we started that question.
Because
resilience.
I
just think as a mum, you kind of just got to get through.
Yeah.
You've had no sleep. You've just got to get through it. And I think
that's
taking you through the journey of motherhood kind of sets you up, to be honest, to be able to run a business.
And because shit hits the fan in motherhood every day,
all the time,
every breakfast, every dinner, every bath time.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
So yeah, all right, awesome. All right. So your vision for the future of Portier, take me into 3 to 5 years from now. Yeah. Because a lot can happen.
Can I be honest? I actually don't really look that far at the moment, because things are changing so much and we're growing really quickly at the moment. And so I think for me, I'm just like, okay, what's my next focus? Yeah. And then once I'm kind of getting a bit of a, hold or a grapple on that, I'm like, what next? Yeah. I know, where I want us to be eventually and what my objectives are for the business. But I think for me, our primary focus at the moment is our international growth. Okay. And we obviously continuing our growth within Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, of course.
You never want to neglect that, because,
but I mean, once
the bread and butter of our business, and it's what our business, the foundation of our business. But we've really had a very big focus on the US, and organically it's been growing really, really well, and in the positive direction. And so now we're like, okay, we're gonna go for it.
And then that's like a whole other market to research, because you'd be not much competition. Well,
no, there's lots.
I'm very biased to in Australia and New Zealand. But then entering US, your marketing strategy changes.
Everything
changes. Your shoot styles change.
Everything changes. And I think a lot of people don't necessarily consider that.
Yes.
They try to mirror what you've done in Australia, and you can't do that at all. You're talking to a completely different customer who values completely different things.
Yeah.
Second of all, we're in different locations in the world, where they're in the northern hemisphere, we're in the southern hemisphere, we're going into winter, they're going into summer.
Yeah. But even the surroundings, so going into another country, you have to shoot in a different place. I remember years ago when we used to work with Brooks, and we used to bring them over from, they would send their stuff over from the US, and we would market Brooks in Australia. And I remember always looking at the photography, being like, we need to shoot in Australia. Like, you can tell that this is American. You can tell the models are American. And it was really hard to market here.
Look, there's ways that you can kind of be a bit clever, because you know, organising a photo shoot in America is definitely not a cheap exercise, and not one that right now I'm prepared to invest in. So there's little ways that you can get around it. And for us, working with content creators in the US is a very cost-effective way to be able to get the content that we need. Where we can give them, you know, really detailed briefs of what we're looking for, and they shoot in their local area. So whether it's, you know, in Beverly Hills or in Malibu at the beach, or lots of different spots, but you know, New York in some really famous streets. So we kind of have leaned into that strategy at the start.
There might be yearly or 6 monthly trips for you to go there and get your campaign photography, which is a reality.
Like, I think if we're in a position where, you know, we're really, you know, killing it over there, then that's going to be an objective. But at the moment, I think we've really been able to just repurpose. So what happens is, you know, if we've got a summer shoot in Australia that we've just used for summer, like we've used this year as an example, the content that we shot for our summer campaign in Australia, we can now start to repurpose that for summer in the US.
Or even being mindful on your shoots, going, yes, I get that it's a 36-degree day, put this coat on and scarf, please, thank you, because, it's about saying, you're doing a content shoot here for 2 different locations, and being aware of not just like, hey, we're going to go shoot some cool photos, like there's an intention to these shoots now.
To be honest, I'd probably even go as far as saying that you need to style them a little bit differently. Like the way I would style a shoot for our Australian customer
is different to the US.
Quite different to how I would.
Got to get those cowboy boots on.
Correct.
Yeah, if you're promoting in Texas, there's a whole other world going on there.
You know, lacquer colour hats, you know, floating around.
Different colours, like different hairstyles, and it's fun. It's cool to be like, oh my gosh, we're actually creating for a whole new market. But it's just about being intentional about it, not just being like, cool, we're going to ship internationally.
No.
It's like, that's not what going international is. Going international is the content looks different. All right, I'd like to go a little bit deeper into what it means to launch into the US. I know that a couple of brands we've worked with when we've launched them into the UK and one into the US, like their content completely had to change, but even their website, we duplicated their websites and the structure of the website changed. So where are you on that strategy?
Yes, we haven't necessarily changed our website at the moment.
Duplicated it.
Yeah, we've just tried to localize the shopping experience on our website as much as we can with our current website, but we're in the process of obviously, you know, getting a US website.
Because then the sites actually look same but different.
Yeah, same but different.
And then you're running 2 websites. Like you're basically running 2 businesses when you go international.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know, 2 email marketing flows, everything.
Yeah. So I think I really want to, you know, for founders who are like, hey, I want to go international. The reality of that is you're opening a whole other business. More like just really engage that idea of it. It is the next step in a business, because once you do it once, you're going to go through all of those like first steps, and then you're like, great, now I'm confident to do it in the UK now because I know exactly what we need to do. So what is your strategy at the moment?
Yeah, I think it is understanding what your strategy is going to be, and I think it has been very different to what our strategy has been in Australia. Predominantly, you know, our business in Australia has been built off of our e-commerce business. Although, you know, we are stocked at the Memo, and I really value and love our partnership that we've got with the Memo. You know, but our business is predominantly, you know, D2C. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm mirroring that strategy in the US because it's really challenging to do that in such a huge market. And so the biggest strategy for me at the moment is looking at our retail partnerships and how I can grow that. And so I have been just using my recruitment, you know, hustle days and going back to old fashioned, you know, I've been getting people on LinkedIn and, talking to different buyers and really trying to move the dial forward with looking at retail. I'm going over to the US in a couple of weeks to do a big, wholesale trade show over there. And it's a great opportunity to just get in front of a lot of these big retail brands.
Who's your dream big brand in the US?
Oh, goodness. Just any of the major retailers, really. Like, I've always known from the beginning that we don't really want to go down the boutique route of like, your little baby stores in, lots of different, towns across America. Like, you'll end up with a debtors list as long as your arm and nobody pays your bills. I'm not interested in that.
Yeah.
I think for me it's being selective and but looking at some of the majors and just trying to partnership. So, your Bloomingdale's, your Nordstroms, Saks.
So if anybody knows, head contact in the what department?
Well, things might already be in the works.
There you go.
No. They're definitely not. It's very early stages. Very early stages. So
buyer at Bloomingdale's, please.
Exactly. Hit us up. But it's super exciting. I'm really pumped for it.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what our focus is definitely for the next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah. And then the UK will be. Although is there? The competition.
It's very similar.
The competition in US and UK. There.
We do ship to the UK at the moment, and we have actually started running some brand awareness or traffic campaigns over there with our paid ads.
Yeah.
Just to try and get some people, I guess, eyes on the brand.
Yeah.
But that's just planting the seed because maybe in the next 6 to 12 months, the objective will be then to flick over to a strategy for the UK.
That's really exciting. Really reflect back 2.5 years. You had a baby.
Yeah.
You launched a business, and I would name you the number one, in Australia and New Zealand. And now, you're in discussions with, launching into the US and getting an apparel brand. And I know that there's so many more exciting things in Australia that we won't talk about yet. Oh my God. It's amazing.
Yeah.
It really is. I really hope that this podcast has inspired someone to give it a go.
Absolutely.
It definitely shows that from your background in HR, you would have 100% brought a lot of skills in. You weren't just coming from nothing, learning, even your systems, the way you work with people, the way you work with bigger organizations, you brought that in. And,
Look, I think it's important for people to realize that don't be afraid that you don't know.
No, you can
actually
learn.
okay. I say to people all the time, like I did with you today, I've never done a podcast before.
Yeah.
How are we going to roll? I don't know. Yeah. And I think if you admit that, it's okay. Yeah. It kind of just automatically. So I'll go into meetings with people and I'm like, I don't know this. I've not done it before.
Yeah.
Walk me through. And I think
the power of vulnerability.
Just knowing that, or not being afraid to work it out.
Yeah.
I knew very little, although yes, there was so many transferable skills that I could move over from corporate into this business and things that I've, worked on in this business, but so much of it that I didn't know and had no experience whatsoever in. But just having that sort of nous to work it out and have that vulnerability to say to people, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to work it out though. But
it's okay.
It's okay if I don't know.
Yeah.
I think that's powerful too. Yeah.
And if somebody else has done it, you can do it too.
Yeah.
You can find the information, you can learn. So, yeah. And one last question. I should have put this in earlier, but how do you look after yourself? Or have you not?
You ask my best friend and she'll tell you that I definitely don't look after myself enough.
Or have you not hit that stage in your life?
To be honest, at the moment, no. I would say that I don't look after myself enough.
Yet. We'll go into that.
I probably put myself last. You know what I just love? I find it probably the most effective use of my time. It probably sounds really shallow, but it's the truth, is just going to get a blow wave.
Oh, get your nails done.
Because at least I walked in there not looking that great.
And you walked out
It took me
leaving-
half an hour of my time. I got a nice little head massage, and then I walked out looking a little bit better than I did before.
That's self-care.
And it's a bit of self-care. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a lot of time for that at the moment. Like even working out, I love to work out, and that's probably been compromised a little bit over the last couple of months. But I do put a lot of emphasis on it, and I can tell in myself, like I'm like, Lee, you haven't been working out, and I can tell. Not from a like a
No, but it's like I haven't released
feel good in myself.
Yeah.
It makes me feel good. It puts my mind in the right place. I'm energized at the moment. Yes, I'm not feeling like that. I do need to make more time for myself, but unfortunately, it's taken a bit of a backseat at the moment.
All right. Well, open Pandora's box.
One thing I'm definitely not compromising is holidays, and I'll never compromise on that. So I kind of work my butt off for like 6 months, and then we travel.
Bang, on holiday.
Yeah, and I will always do that because I've always loved traveling.
Well, maybe some people need like a big recharge, and some people need the daily. Maybe in a few years' time, I'll ask that same question. You'll be like, I've got all the things.
Yeah,
I'm so
I'm meditating and I'm doing yoga.
I'm like, cool, vibing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So much. I still am going to so enjoy watching your journey. I love seeing you every now and then.
Thank you.
I know, like with you, when I first met you and you told me about this idea and I just like felt your energy, I was like, you are going to do great. Like there's a few clients that I work with and I'm like, you're going to do great. And they're like, oh, thanks. I'm like, no, I don't say this to everyone. I really don't. So you're going to fly and I'm going to enjoy watching it.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Thanks for having me.
It's all right. So that was Leah from Portier on Truth on a Pedestal. And I am Justine. Thank you very much for listening.